how do you know this location?
Well, actually I got to know it quite recently. A couple of months ago we were rehearsing in one of these hangars for a new piece that was supposed to tour over the Netherlands from March till end of May. And this was a kind of, I don't know, shelter for creativity in these hangars. In the middle of pandemic, we managed to produce a new theater work, and you know, this was home for creativity. So very dear area, new area for me, with good memories.
Let's rewind a little bit and ask about when you first started getting interested in lighting and the stage and performance and, you know, the whole phenomena that's live.
The beginning was I was interested in painting and music, and I went for painting in Israel.
I was just going to say, you were in Israel at the time, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Israel in the area of Tel Aviv, and studied painting quite seriously, but in my art high school I discovered lighting by coincidence when, you know, watching dance performances, theater of you know, we were between 15 and 18 years old creating work, and my first engagement with lighting came from the fascination of how light can affect emotion and imagination of people. I did it very intuitively, without education first. Didn't know what even the difference between PC and Fresnel, or, you know, it was very naive at the beginning. Later I went on, you know, to study it more seriously in universities and work in rental companies. So it was always the combination between the practice and the technical side of the art, but also the research and the more academic studies. Coming to the Netherlands was for me a game changer, because I got to design. I was really lucky to meet really fascinating artists, collaborators. Some of them are dear friends to work with, and you know, from these projects also the scale of the work changed, and new doors opened in different countries, especially in the international dance scene, that language is not a barrier. So it makes you know, it makes the work abroad maybe a more easy thing to do.
A lot of your work embraces dance, ballet, movement pieces. What are the key sort of visual design elements when you're lighting a work like that?
Well, I'm not in particular following conventions of genres for dance or for theater or opera and so on. It all comes from the concept of the project, and we try to find the right aesthetic to tell the story in the way that fits, in our opinion, most, or reaches the kind of influence we try to have on our spectators. What also attracts me a lot in dance is that you can really do crazy stuff with design, and you can think very abstractly. You don't need to illustrate a story or to support, like in realistic drama, the time and the place where we are, but you can actually do really things that bring light to a more independent, autonomous level. A little bit like installation art with lighting. This is something that I'm really interested in.
Sure. You've got a lot more sort of latitude and creative freedom in a way.
Indeed. The lighting becomes some kind of a performer, or light creates spaces that can change in a very interesting way throughout the piece.
Can you tell me a bit about your book, The Art of Light on Stage, and how important was it to communicate all these various experiences that you've had with using light in various different genres in different ways?
The book, The Art of Light on Stage, is based on a PhD research that explores new tendencies, new styles in lighting design for contemporary performance. It's all different all the old set of rules, the conventions that we studied in the old literature on theater of realism, it doesn't really apply to the contemporary performance. So a new research had to be done. And in this research, I'm actually focusing on how we use light to create a body experience and also meaning in a non-linear and non-story environment. Yeah, whether it is works of people like Robert Wilson or Heine Goebbels or Romeo Castellucci, very famous avant-garde theater makers of today. So the book was actually filling in a kind of gap in existing literature, and for that reason the way it was received was actually quite overwhelming for me as well. 23 book launches in different countries, from China to Mexico to the United States, the UK, Covent Garden, Royal Opera House, really great places, festivals and so on, that hosted a book launch event. And this interaction with especially with the younger generation of designers
at the launches,
but also later.
Yes.
Also, if it is through conferences or being a guest lecturer in national universities of the arts and so on. This interaction was something very inspiring for me, to be always triggered by new perspectives. The way they look at things is very different than my generation or even the older generation before me, where lighting design was less of initiating and maybe more serving what the directors want or what their director's vision is. And now the position of lighting designer as an independent artist is rising in the creative team. So this is really, it was a great opportunity to meet so many interesting people and talk about these issues.
You've worked on a huge variety of projects over your career, haven't you? From minimal site-specific works to big monumental productions and many offbeat and creative art space shows. Are there any in particular that stand out? I realise that's a really big question, but like if you had to pick, say, one or two.
There is one that is called Witness. It's a production by Company Chameleon, and the artistic director of the company, Kevin Edward Turner, actually took an autobiographical approach to this piece. Kevin was diagnosed as a bipolar, and he took his own personal story and put it in a very brave and honest, direct way on the stage, not only contributing his own experiences, but actually being there and performing in the role of himself. And this has been for me during the process, but also watching back, looking at videos sometimes, it has been one of the most unique opportunities to bring really a personal human story through pain, happiness, in a very brave way, in a very honest, exposed way that I can only admire. I think the second project, very different than Witness. The first project is a production in the Opera House in Basel, Switzerland, with Ballet Theatre Basel and the artistic director Richard Werlock. It's the maybe first adaptation of the Comedy of Errors by William Shakespeare to contemporary dance. It was a very complex production. How to bring the story, first of all, which is about mix of identities, into dance, into less verbal medium. beautiful set of Bruce French, the scenographer from the UK. Amazing music and costume design. It was a dream team. Seriously, this is really, it was such a privilege to be part of this project, and taking the story from the time of Shakespeare to the refugee crisis here and now in Europe.
And this is the nice question about why do we need light in our lives?
Well, I think light is my passion, and light makes our life better. What I love with lighting is that it affects so much the way we feel about everything around us, the way we feel towards our environment, and in performance we can actually change the way we feel towards everything we see. So you can turn the same object to the most magical, attractive thing, or to the other side of the scale to make it almost repulsive. This is something that is highly psychologically manipulative. I'm really curious how in production design to create the right pace, the right energy, the right flow, the associations with lighting. And I think that in performance, but also in real life around us, we are very sensitive to light, maybe subconsciously,
Sure.
and we professionals maybe more consciously, and that's how we make in our work. So yeah, this is the magic of light.